Alright, what's up guys? We got the Diablo 4 server slam here. Um, Made this character last night, been working this weekend, so haven't had a whole lot of time to play, just a couple hours so far. Gonna go over kind of this character and what I think the optimal strategy for Diablo 4 launch will be. So I just need to get one more level, and then I will probably have to wait till the next Ashava to kill it. So I'll spend a few hours here gearing up. I'm just gonna do it on World Tier 1 because I'm really not that worried about the challenge. Last time I played entirely on Veteran, and I'm just doing this to get the reward. So let's get all our skellies here, and I'll kind of tell you guys what I'm planning. So I thought I'd try out the Necro this time. Last time I played a lot of Barbarian and Druid and a little bit of Sorcerer. Necro was supposedly like super broken. I didn't play it before, so I didn't get to experience that. I'm not really sure, so I can't really comment on how this compares to that. I'm playing in World Tier 1, so you know, don't be too impressed by me one-shotting everything. I just was playing what felt good to me, and this build probably not optimal. I don't have any legendary powers yet, just rare items. I've got a couple aspects. I finally have enough crafting materials to use them. Oh, I went the wrong way. So I'll craft some legendary powers, hopefully once I get a couple, you know, level 20 items. I want to get at least a decent weapon. But last time I played entirely on Veteran difficulty, and so this time I thought I would check out World Tier 1 just to see how much easier things were to kill, and whether or not it would be more efficient to start out in World Tier 1 versus World Tier 2. And after playing last night, I'm fairly confident World Tier 1 is probably the way to go, because you get 20% more XP and 15% more gold in World Tier 2, but it takes considerably longer to kill things. So I would definitely start out in World Tier 1, and until you're probably like really just absolutely destroying everything in terms of your damage output, I would probably stay in World Tier 1 until that point, and then if you want to go up to World Tier 2, because you have high enough damage that it's not going to slow you down and it's actually going to benefit you. By the way, I really hate this character. I feel like if anything pisses me off in the Diablo 4 story, it's going to be Neyrel. Like, it's just, you know, it's like Leah from Diablo 3. They don't really fit in the universe. It's like they just kind of plugged in this, you know, stupid BIPOC like female character. But back to the point. So I'm almost to the point where I would feel like trying out World Tier 2 would be beneficial for me, because I'm just kind of one-shotting almost everything. And I like this Necro, this melee Necro build. It feels pretty good. Like, Barbarian doesn't have cleave, but Necro has this like cleave skill, and it just hits. It has a really good arc and range to it. So even early on, like, I can kind of hide behind my skeletons and just hit stuff with it. And then this just like Blood Nova thing works out really well with it. They don't synergize in terms of like passives buffing them, but it seems, you know, possible that it could be, you know, a worthwhile build to try and check out in the game. So that's what I've been doing. The ranged skills, when I tested them out, just didn't really feel that good, and I guess the teeth, or whatever it's called now, was really nerfed by like more than 50%. So not really good anymore. I tried using it. I tried a couple of the bone skills. I just visually I don't like them that much. Like Bone Spirit was kind of lame. It just looks like an apparition that runs at people and explodes. Bone Spear, it just doesn't feel the same. I don't like it compared to Diablo 2. It doesn't have that, you know, impressive visual effect. It just looks sort of like a white thing that you shoot out. So this is what I ended up going with, and so far it's been working out just fine. Probably when I go to fight a Shava, I will use this for the non-physical resist, and I'm kind of disappointed that they made the level cap only 20 in this, because I would have liked to have got to check out the golems, or the golems. And then I'll probably also use this one, just because I think the summons will just die and be useless against a Shava, so I'll just have to use like the individual buffs.
Coming from the Black Lake.
But that's my plan. The drop rates, I definitely have noticed a huge difference in the drop rates. So it took me a little while even to just get a full inventory or equip of rare items, and I haven't found a single legendary yet, and I've been playing for, I don't know, at least 2.5, 3 hours on this character.
How strange.
So whereas before, I think by this point I had several legendaries and almost fully equipped with legendary items. So at launch, I'm not really sure yet what class I'm gonna play. I do like the theme of like a melee necro, and they've got this bone storm, which seems pretty cool. You know, it almost seems like Hurricane for druid. But it has really a massive cooldown, so it's kind of hard to tell what the legendary effects and the Paragon effects will have on these skills, like if we can get them down to a really low cooldown. But I do think that melee Necromancer is actually going to be a very viable build, and I almost want to just play this class just to do it, even though it's not maybe my first choice, but it feels really good. The cleave. I kind of like having the free curses from my current helmet. But I have a legendary power that I got from a dungeon. I think that's another thing that we're gonna have to kind of figure out, is maybe on your first playthrough you're just gonna do all the dungeons so you can unlock them for future characters. But definitely in seasons, you're probably gonna want to optimize what dungeons you do to get the skills you need. I have a legendary power that will make my Blood Surge activate twice, so that seems pretty good. And overpower seems like it does a ton of damage. So I feel like this here, I'm curious to see when I have the sort of like double Nova legendary power, is it going to give me 2 stacks of this overwhelming blood per cast, or will it still only give me 1? And then when you look down here, you've got this increase maximum life by 10%, and if you're over 80% life for 15 seconds, your next blood skill overpowers. Overpower does a lot of damage, so just some stuff like that I think is going to be pretty significant. That is kind of a long time though. I mean, every 15 seconds. Just the 10% life though is pretty significant. I don't really... Oh, 1% for each point above 50. Okay. But then there's another legendary power you get from dungeons that I feel like it's almost... I mean, maybe it won't be absolutely necessary, but it's so good that I do feel like you're almost required to take it. And it's the one that gives you the shield upon damaging a legendary enemy. Because it doesn't make you invincible, but it more than doubles like your survivability. So I don't know how you can afford to pass it up, or like how you could find a power that would be better than that to put on your gear, especially in hardcore. I think it's going to be almost mandatory. So the problem with that is that a lot of times if it seems mandatory, they end up nerfing the, you know, crap out of it and making it worthless. Oops. So we'll have to see. Everybody that was making those tier lists before, like I said in one of my last videos, I'm not at all surprised that the majority of those classes and skills like Sorcerer and Necro ended up getting, you know, nerfed. They got nerfed more than I thought that they would. Almost to the point where like I feel bad for the classes, but I'm not at all surprised. And you know, anyone that's played games like this with heavy balancing, like if you try and metagame, you're gonna have a bad time, because usually you're gonna get, your class is gonna get nerfed. Your class is gonna get nerfed. What you thought was like overpowered, and you're gonna have a build, and then they're gonna nerf its damage by like 50% or something, and then you're just gonna have a bad time. So just pick the class that thematically you want to play, and don't worry too much about the balance on your first playthrough. What I'm hoping they don't do is like knee-jerk react and nerf things mid-season, and that they take more of a Path of Exile approach where they do it you know, before the season, and then if it's like a lot of times it's like kind of a flavor of the month thing in Path of Exile, where you get some new skill gems and then they end up being kind of overpowered, and maybe they'll nerf them after that season, but typically they stay, you know, a little over-tuned throughout that season, so you can at least enjoy a little bit before you have your build like nerfed into the ground. And it's usually not like so broken that it overshadows everything, but it might just be a little bit overtuned. I did notice myself being a little bit, you know, and it's probably gonna get better as I get higher level, but Necro seems to be not as engaging as some of the other classes I played. Um, just because the build, I'm kind of like, a lot of these skills don't really synergize with my build. And when I go fight a Shava, I'm going to refund these 3 skill points. I don't know what I'll put them into, but probably probably like this. And then I'll just curse a Shava and have like a 10% damage buff. But this, I think, is just sort of like my invincibility skill, so I've got that for when I go fight a Shava, just to avoid damage as needed. I did notice this playthrough with the lower drop rates, just getting the crafting materials for adding legendary powers. Like, I got a legendary power fairly early on from completing the dungeon, and it didn't, I couldn't even equip it because I didn't have the materials to craft it onto gear. So probably call this video here, and then I'll do another video later after I kind of finish up my build and kill a Shava. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and remember to give them the D.